I recently did a video talking about all the series that I've started that I want to continue, and there were a few of those, and there were even a few that I didn't mention in that video, but there are also a few series that I'm really interested in starting and just haven't got round to yet, so I thought it'd be fun to discuss those too. First up, I want to talk about the Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan. This is an epic fantasy series, and if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that I just love fantasy, and particularly epic fantasy, and this is one of the originals. I think other than Lord of the Rings and some of the more classic fantasy, this is sort of the godfather of modern high epic fantasy, and I don't know too much about it, but I do know that it's hugely loved, and I also know that there are some really big books in the series, and it's a very long series, and I don't know much more than that. I don't think I really want to. I always say the less you know with epic fantasy, the better. I want to just go into it, but I've heard there's some really great character work, really interesting world building, fun magic systems, always a plus, always love it when there's more than one magic system, and it's just a series I'm really interested to get into. Then, a bit of a different one, we have The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater, which is a young adult sort of paranormal urban fantasy type series which follows a main character named Blue who has a clairvoyant mother, and she can't usually see ghosts, and then she meets a boy from the local private school who she would normally stay away from, but she's inextricably drawn to him and his friends, and that's all I really know about it and all I kind of want to. I think that there's a bit of a love story in there. Like I said, it's paranormal, and I do tend to enjoy paranormal fantasy, probably because I enjoy paranormal adult romance too, so that's probably where that comes from. But anyway, I've heard so many great things about this series, and it's been on my TBR for a while, so I'm definitely interested in picking this one up. Time to talk about a middle grade fantasy series now, the Keeper of the Lost Cities series by Shannon Messenger, which is another one that I've heard really great things about and has been recommended to me by you as well. This is currently 8 books long, I believe, so a nice big series for me to sink my teeth into, which you all know I love, and it gets likened to Harry Potter, but I think, you know, a lot of middle grade fantasy series do get likened to Harry Potter, especially if there's a school setting, which I believe this one does have, and I believe it's a story of a character discovering her magic, joining a semi-magic school, making lots of friends. So you can see why parallels are drawn between it and Harry Potter. I'm not going to go into it expecting Harry Potter because I think that that's a surefire way to not enjoy it, but I do really enjoy magic school settings, and I do really enjoy middle grade fantasy. So yeah, definitely really interested in picking up this series. The next series I'm going to talk about is a little bit of an undertaking, and it's Terry Pratchett's Discworld. And I say it's an undertaking because it is probably the longest series of fantasy books that exists. I'm pretty sure that's right. And so it can be a bit of a minefield to decide where you're going to start. But I have decided that I am going to start with Mort, which is the first book in the Death trilogy. And the reason I'm starting there is because Death as a character is just fascinating to me, so I'm really interested to start with that particular trilogy and then just figure it out from there. I don't think there's any real hard and fast rules. As long as you start with the first in one of the set trilogies, I mean, you're fine, you're good to go. Can I tell you what Discworld is about overall? No. All I know is that the Discworld is a planet that is a flat disc that is on the back of 4 elephants that are on the back of a turtle that is flying through space. That sounds pretty cool to me. As far as world building goes, that's pretty fun, and like I said, Death as a character is fascinating, so I'm up for it, and I'm going to finally delve into the Discworld. Hopefully very soon. Time for another epic fantasy now. We're talking Malazan by Stephen Erickson. This is another pretty big epic fantasy series which is still being written. Unlike The Wheel of Time, which is a finished series, Malazan is still ongoing as far as I know, and I've heard that it is very complicated, very intricate, and will take a lot of time to read just because it takes so much time to get your head around all of the characters, all of the world building, all of the magic systems, and it's not so info dumpy. Things are really trickled to you information wise. So I'm going into it with my eyes wide open, but actually all of that sounds really fun to me. I enjoy discovering new fantasy worlds, and this is one that's been on my list for a while as well. Again, very popular with other epic fantasy lovers, so I'm pretty sure it's going to be a hit with me as well. And I'm really looking forward to it. I suppose we might as well stick with epic fantasy for the next one, and so I'm going to talk about the Gentleman Bastard series by Scott Lynch. I have book 1, which is The Lies of Locke Lamora, which sounds very reminiscent of Oliver Twist. So we have a main character who is part of a gang of thieves, and it's very sort of heist focused, and I've heard it's incredibly character focused, which works really well for me because I love character focused stories, and it's meant to have a really fantastic friendship right at the centre, so that really works for me too because I absolutely love stories about friendship. And again, epic fantasy, don't know much more about it than that. That's all I need to know. I want to read it. Breaking away briefly from epic fantasy and moving back into young adult, high fantasy, low fantasy, I'm not entirely sure. I'll feed back once I've actually read it. We have the Seven Realms series by Cinder Williams Chimer, which follows 2 characters, one who steals something that sends everything wrong and we fall into war, and the other follows a female character who wants to break away from society's norms that are in place for her. And those are 2 premises that I really enjoy. They're not anything particularly new or outlandish, but I'm still really interested to read it. I like those kinds of stories. I said this in my series I want to continue video. I like tropes. It really doesn't bother me if I've read it a million times before. I like finding new characters and reading new takes on the same kinds of ideas. I really don't have a problem with it, and this one sounds really fun. Similarly, we have the Temeraire series by Naomi Novik, which is a little bit of an older young adult fantasy series, I believe, and honestly, the only thing I know about it is that there are dragons in it. That's all I need to know. If there are dragons in it, I want to read it. So I honestly can't tell you anything else about it because I don't know anything else about it, and I don't want to look up anything else about it because I just want to go into it knowing that there are going to be dragons and discovering how that works. So sorry I can't give you more, but dragons should be enough for anyone, really. Who doesn't love dragons? Back to the epic fantasy though, we have Book of the Ancestor series, which starts with book 1, Red Queen, and it's by Mark Lawrence. And again, this is one I don't know particularly much about, and I kind of want to keep it that way because all I know is that a character goes to a school to learn from ninja nuns. That's cool. That's very cool. And it's adult, so supposedly it's meant to be quite brutal, which I'm here for. So no, I don't know much about it. Again, I don't have a problem with that. I just want to read it. And finally, I'm going to talk about the Winter Night series by Catherine Arden, starting with book 1, The Bear and the Nightingale. Now, I've heard some very, very mixed things about this series. Some people really, really love it, and some people really don't mesh with it well at all. And I have to admit, I'm interested to see where I fall. The books are based on Russian folklore and are based in Russia in the old times, and it's supposed to be very atmospheric and lots of world building and very character focused. I think it's told from just the perspective of the protagonist, and I don't know, all of those things just seem really appealing to me. So I kind of want to just give the series a go and see how I get on with it and whether it's something that I'll enjoy or not. But the fact that it's Russian folklore just is appealing to me, so I would really like to get to this series. And that's it. Those are 10 series that I would really like to read. There are tons more series that I really want to read that I didn't have time to discuss in this video, but if there are any that I haven't mentioned here that you think that I would enjoy, please do let me know. I am not afraid of a massive TBR. If I was, I'd probably be underneath a bed crying somewhere because my TBR is enormous, but we don't talk about that. So yeah, if you have any series that you think that I would like, please do recommend them to me down below. But that's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video and want to see more like this from me, then do think about hitting that subscribe button, and I hope to see you here again soon. Thanks. Bye.